Hello, everybody. Thanks for your time. I'm Ivan de Lastours. I'm working for BPI France, a public investment bank and a sovereign fund. We invest directly into startups linked to blockchain technologies, and we finance them with grants and loans. And we already finance more than 100 startups in France for nearly 18 million euros. As we are a bank and a leading financial services company, we also try to implement this technology internally to improve our cost efficiency or develop new business model. And that's the theme of this webinar today is blockchain and new business model. So blockchain technologies are live since 2009. Blockchain is a blend of advanced cryptography, distributed network, and database technologies. So we would say it's a framework. The first known use case is linked to cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, but that's not the only one. Many use case industries have implemented such underlying technologies or are trying to implement such underlying infrastructures. So we will do a quick overview of such use case, and we will focus on several that are the most promising right now. Let us begin with a brief overview of the blockchain use case sector worldwide. There are around 6,000 blockchain projects in the world. Most of them are linked to startups, but there's also 20% of them linked to corporate consortia. And 35, nearly 50% of these projects are linked to finance. So we can say that finance is one of the primitive of blockchain technologies, but that's not the only one. We tried to classify these different use cases. So sorry, it's not a perfect square with the different level of maturity slash technologies slash sectors. So the most mature use case right now are linked to supply chain, traceability, IoT. This is mostly used with food sector, but also logistics, internal transportation. And this is clearly mature. This is live, and this is also a blend of different technologies. You have kind of a blockchain backbone, but you have also complementary technologies like IoT that really helps to give more trust into these underlying infrastructures. Linked to this, what we call trade finance use case, it's everything linked to international trade. And this is really a great use case because today to buy, for example, something to a Chinese supplier and to import it to United States with a boat is a very complex process with many financial insurance intermediaries, and blockchain can really help to simplify this process. Then there are what we call multi-tenant process, like KYC. It's just a shared process by different business players or companies that trust them, but not completely, because they are not from the same entity. So it's typically the KYC, know your customer process. Every bank, every insurance company should check the identity of a prospect or a customer. But the reality is that banks and insurance companies are doing this costly process many times, and they are doing exactly the same process. So if we could use a blockchain to validate one time this process, and then everybody can reuse this kind of proof of KYC, this brings a lot of efficiency. Then there are the remittance money transfer use case that are clearly kind of natively linked to blockchain technologies. Gentle reminder, Western Union still takes 7% of fees on a transaction, which is huge. There are clearly some space for improvement there. And there are some new services like custody, digital asset custody. It's a new business. So maybe your bank, maybe your digital service provider will do this for you. But this is clearly something live and kind of a mature, still growing, of course, it's innovative, but businesses. What we call the maturing businesses are the kind of in between. They are huge potential, but the market is still small. So everything linked to healthcare, of course, like clinical trial optimization, the opt-in process for healthcare data sharing. There are huge potential with blockchain. But the truth is, for the moment, there is still heavy regulation on this, and the benefits are still ongoing. I mean, many startups are working, and big pharma corporates are working on this. But still, the killer use case is not there yet. E-commerce customer relationship, to give you an example, there are many projects of customer fidelity programs with some cashback and stuff. And blockchain technologies can help to track this kind of program and the money linked to this program. So it's a very good use case, but again, it's still growing. What we call parametric insurance, kind of automatic insurance. The very known example is when you have a flight and there is a delay. With blockchain underlying technology, you can do an automatic insurance, and the claim is automatic, and the money, the payment would be also automated. You also have the creative industries, which are a very, very promising space. So video games, of course, what we call non-fungible tokens, kind of all this industry of giving a value to some objects in video games, because you have a market, but it's not really linked to the classic market. And rights management for music, movies, because it's kind of a nightmare to track the rights management between countries. Blockchain could bring a lot of efficiency. And every industry linked to network effects, so that is using electricity, waste management, when you have kind of a distributed network effect, some companies, startups are working on blockchain use case. But this is still maturing. Then more on the I would say tech side, like kind of layer 2 technologies are interesting with blockchains. You have, of course, STO tokenization. It's a very promising use case. Basically, it's kind of the further step of digital securities. Nowadays, you have a kind of a digital dollar, you have e-money, you have digital securities. You can buy it online, but it's not fully and natively digital. And blockchain can help us to go to this next step. Privacy use case, it's huge. It's linked to data protection. It's linked to your digital identity and digital life, but still maturing. Stable coins, big subjects. Everybody have heard of Libra. And also a market for trading with cryptocurrencies or digital assets, and kind of a sophisticated market with futures, options, and derivatives. And then you have what we call the early stage projects. It's very, very promising, very technical, very interesting, but to be honest, there is no real market for now. So the first one is what we call zero knowledge proof algorithms. It's kind of it's algorithms that let you know if you give you access to data and give you the right to check some information without copying this data. So it's super useful for an example, an industry that would like to share data without giving them to a competitor, for example. What we call blockchain analytics, mainly on-chain, off-chain also. It's a new market. It's a new way to analyze behaviors, data. One of the most known actor selling to many administrations is chain analysis, for example. Decentralized finance, this is a clearly new space linked to cryptocurrency. Also staking, which is kind of getting some yield for giving access to your digital assets, and Lightning Network, which is what we call a layer 2 network that helps you doing micropayment with cryptocurrency. But again, this is super early stage, kind of risky. The mature use case are live with industrial players, many fundraisings. As you see, you have a complete scope of blockchain use case. So it's an underlying technology, but the applications are very, very wide. We'll do a small focus on the most promising use case. One of the most known is supply chain use case. So again, the objectives are very simple: having a reliable, efficient, shared view of your supply chain, a super efficient audit track of your goods. This is clearly mature. As I said, there are many, many live projects, many big players involved, from the food industry, from the luxury industry, from the tech industry, from the automobile industry. So the main giveaways right now is that it helps a lot sharing information between players, and it helps to reduce cost. The next step that everybody awaits is, as I said, is mixing this with other technologies like advanced data analysis, IoT, that really allows you to have a kind of a perfect view of your goods and of the trades of the goods, kind of a real-time view, and also having the capacity to do deep data analysis to improve your business. And also, we expect also this to bring more transparency to suppliers and to final customers. To give an example, so everybody knows Nestle. The idea is to use blockchain. It can be private, but at some point, maybe write some data in a public blockchain to give information to the final customers and to bring more trust. Again, it's not, I'm sorry, it's not a very explicit use case, as we call multi-tenant, but it's key. The ability to gain trust and do work with other business partners, suppliers, with a better level of trust is clearly a revolution. It's like the setup of the company in UK on the 18th century. It's really kind of a big jump, because it gives you the ability to work better with your business partners, faster and with more efficiency. So as we talked about it, there are shared KYC projects. AXA, a French insurance company, worked with the Swedish state to work on a public-private process for unemployment subsidies, to be sure that the person that claimed the subsidies are the right person, and that the digital identity and the payment are right. And this is clearly working, and it brings more trust and improve cost. Again, the next step, and we all hope it will happen, is that this ecosystem would grow. For the moment, it's kind of 2-3 business players or banks working together, but we can easily imagine that we can extend this ecosystem to other players. So states, employment agencies, retailers, like you can clearly build a full chain of value and trust, and this can bring huge process optimizations. STO tokenization process, as we talked about it, the objectives are very simple: to improve the IPO process. I mean, the classic security market with more liquidity, efficiency, and transparency. It's live. There are already more than 100 STOs that have been made worldwide. The liquidity is not that huge, but the potential of the market is huge. I mean, the security, the total security market and assets to securitize is estimated as something like more than $10 trillion market. It's an estimate from Polymath, and there's already many players, as you see on the slide. I mean, it's a kind of already structured market, but of course, it still needs more volume to prove its value. We talked quickly about this e-commerce customer relationship use case. So the idea is to use blockchain to improve your customer relationship, clearly to bring more trust with your customer, to help to give more services. So we talked about these multi-brand retail cashback programs. So again, you see, you can really build a multi-brand cashback program with different brands. It can be an airline and a retailer, and that you have the same cashback program. Today, the cashback programs are different. Blockchain can really help these kind of projects that would bring more trust to the customer. And you have also some examples in the luxury industry that is live right now. It's, for example, give you a very secure digital certificates for luxury goods. This creates kind of a special relationship with your customers that is more connected, but still loves luxury goods. So yes, the potential is clearly kind of a competitive one. I mean, it's linked to competition, is that the player that masters this underlying technology and that have a good value for the customers would develop a very trustful relationship with them and win them. Everybody asks questions about blockchain, its potential, and it's a very classic question. And as a blockchain lead in the elevator, I'm nearly challenged every day by some colleagues that are asking, what are you really doing? But this is very real. And if 50 corporate giants are investing heavily into blockchain financially and are developing projects, it's really because they believe they should work with it. So I think it's still beginning, but the good news is that there are really some heavy investments. The difficulty, of course, is to know exactly what use case will work and what use case will stay, I would say, a proof of concept. So the conclusion: blockchain technology is multi-sector. There's not a single use case, but many use cases. Potential is still variable from one use case to another, but it's still huge. And again, hard to say which will be the winners, but there will be big winners for sure. Thanks for listening, and don't hesitate if you have questions. Thank you.